especially at a moment when intellectual pleasures await you. Your German grammar is on the table. Pray open it at page 15. We will repeat yesterday's lesson.
But I don't like German. Isn't it all a becoming language? I know perfectly well that I look quite plain after my German lesson.
Child, you know how anxious your guardian is that you improve yourself in every way. He laid particular stress on your German as he was leaving for town yesterday. Indeed, he always lays stress on your German when he is leaving for town.
Dear Uncle Jack is so very serious. Sometimes he is so serious I think he cannot be quite well.
Your guardian enjoys the best of health, and his gravity of demeanor is to be especially commended to one so comparatively young as he is. I know no one who has a higher sense of duty and responsibility.
I suppose that is why he often looks a little bored when we three are together.
Cecily, I am surprised at you. Mr. Worthing has had many troubles in his life. Idle merriment and triviality would be out of place in his conversation. And you must remember his constant anxiety about that unfortunate young man, his brother.
I wish Uncle Jack would allow that unfortunate young man, his brother, to come out here sometime. We might have a good influence over him, Miss Prism. I'm sure you certainly would. You know German and geology, and things of that kind influence men very much.
I do not think that even I could produce any effect on a character, according to his own brother's admissions, is irretrievably weak and vacillating. As a man sows, so let him reap. You must put away your diary, Cecily. I do not see why you should keep a diary at all.
I keep a diary in order to enter the wonderful secrets of my life. If I didn't write them down, I should probably forget all about them. But I see dear Dr. Chasuble coming up through the garden.
Dr. Chasuble, this is indeed a pleasure.
And how are we this morning, Miss Prism? You are, I trust, well?
Miss Prism was just complaining of a slight headache. I think it would do her so much good to have a short stroll with you in the park, Dr. Chasuble.
Cecily, I haven't mentioned anything about a headache.
No, dear Miss Prism, I know that. But I felt instinctively that you had a headache. Indeed, I was thinking about that after my German lesson when the rector came in.
I hope, Cecily, you are not inattentive.
Oh, I'm afraid I am.
That is strange. Were I fortunate enough to be Miss Prism's pupil, I would hang upon your lips. I spoke metaphorically. My metaphor was drawn from bees. Mr. Worthing, I suppose, hasn't returned from town yet.
We do not expect him till Monday afternoon.
Oh, yes. He usually likes to spend his Sunday in London. He's not one of those whose sole aim is enjoyment. As by all accounts, that unfortunate young man, his brother seems to be.
I think, dear Dr. Chasuble, that I will have a walk with you. I find I have a headache after all, and a walk might do it good.
With pleasure, Miss Prism, with pleasure. We shall go as far as the schools and back.
That would be delightful. Cecily, you will read your political economy in my absence.
Horrid political economy, horrid geography, horrid German.
Ernest Worthing has just driven up from the station.
Mr. Ernest Worthing, B4, the Albany West. Uncle Jack's brother. Did you tell him Mr. Worthing was in town?
Yes, miss. He seemed very much disappointed. I also mentioned that you and Miss Prism were in the garden. He was anxious to speak to you privately for a moment.
Ask Mr. Ernest Worthing to come here. I suppose you're going to speak to a housekeeper about a room for him.
Yes, miss.
I've never met any really wicked person before. I'm rather frightened. I'm so afraid you'll look just like everyone else. He does!
You are my little cousin Cecily, I'm sure.
You are under some strange mistake. I am not little. In fact, I believe I'm more than usually tall for my age. But I'm your cousin Cecily, and you, I see from your card, are Uncle Jack's brother, my cousin Ernest, my wicked cousin Ernest.
Oh, I am really not wicked at all, cousin Cecily. Oh, you mustn't think that I am wicked.
If you are not, then you certainly have been deceiving us all in a very inexcusable manner. I hope you have not been leading a double life, pretending to be wicked and being really good all this time. That would be hypocrisy.
Of course, I have been, rather careless.
I'm glad to hear it.
And I've been very bad in my own small way.
I don't think you should be so proud of that, though I'm sure it was very pleasant.
It is much pleasanter being here with you.
I can't understand how you are here at all. Uncle Jack will not be back until Monday afternoon.
Oh, that is a shame. I'm obliged to be up by the first train on, Monday morning.
I think you should wait until Uncle Jack arrives. I know he wanted to speak to you about your immigrating.
About my what?
You're immigrating. Uncle Jack has gone up to buy your outfit.
I certainly wouldn't let Jack buy my outfit. He has no taste in neckties at all.
Well, at dinner on Thursday night, Uncle Jack said you have to choose between this world, the next world, and Australia.
Oh, well. The accounts I have heard of Australia and the next world are not particularly encouraging. This world is good enough for me, Cousin Cecily.
Yes, but are you good enough for it?
I'm afraid I'm not that. That is why you must reform me. You might make that your mission, if you don't mind, Cousin Cecily.
I'm afraid I've no time this afternoon.
Then you might mind reforming myself this afternoon.
It's rather quixotic of you, but I think you should try.
I will. I'm feeling better already.
You are looking a little worse.
That is because I am hungry.
How thoughtless of me! I should have remembered that when one is going to lead an entirely new life, one requires regular and wholesome meals. Won't you come in?
Thank you. Might I have a buttonhole first? I never have any appetite unless I have a buttonhole first.
A marital meal?
No, I'd sooner have pink rose.
Why?
Because you would like a pink rose, Cousin Cecily.
I don't think you should say that to me. Miss Prism never talks to me like that.
Then Miss Prism is a short-sighted old lady who is the prettiest girl I ever saw.
Miss Prism says that all good looks are a snare.
A snare that any sensible man would like to follow.
I don't think I would care to catch a sensible man. I wouldn't know what to talk to him about.
You are too much alone, Dr. Chasuble. You should get married. A misanthrope I can understand. A womanthrope never.
Believe me, I do not deserve so neologistic a phrase. The precept as well as the practice of the primitive church is distinctly against matrimony.
That is obviously why the primitive church has not lasted up to this present day. Mr. Worthing.
Mr. Worthing.
This is indeed a surprise. We did not expect you till Monday afternoon.
I have returned sooner than I expected. Dr. Chasuble, I hope you are well.
Dear Mr. Worthing, I trust this garb of blood does not betoken some terrible calamity.
My brother.
More shameful debts of extravagance?
Still leading his life with pleasure?
Dead.
Your brother Ernest dead?
Quite dead.
What a lesson for him. I trust you'll profit by it.
Mr. Worthing, I offer you my sincere condolence. You've at least the consolation of knowing that you are the most generous and forgiving of brothers.
Oh, poor Ernest. He had many faults, but it is a sad, sad blow.
Very sad indeed. Were you with him in the end?
No, he died abroad. In Paris, in fact. I had a telegram last night from the manager of the Grand Hotel.
Was the cause of death mentioned?
A severe chill, it seems.
As a man sows, so let him reap.
Charity, dear Miss Prism, charity. None of us are perfect. I myself am peculiarly susceptible to drafts. Will the interment take place here?
No, he seems to have expressed a desire to be buried in Paris.
In Paris? I fear that hardly points to any very serious state of mind at the last. You no doubt wish me to make some slight allusion to this tragic domestic affliction next Sunday. My sermon on the meaning of the manna in the wilderness can be adapted to almost any occasion, joyful or, as in this present case, distressing. I appreciate our harvest celebrations, christenings, confirmations, on days of humiliation and festival days.
Well, that reminds me. You mentioned christenings, I think, Dr. Chasuble. I suppose you know how to christen all right. I mean, of course, you are continually christening, aren't you?
Yes, but is there any particular infant in whom you are interested? Your brother, I believe, was unmarried, was he not?
Oh, yes.
People who live entirely for pleasure usually are.
Oh, but it is not for any child, dear doctor. But I am very fond of children. No, the fact is I would like to be christened myself. This afternoon, if you have nothing better to do.
And what time would the interment take place?
Would 5:30 do?
Admirably, admirably. And now, Mr. Worthing, I will not intrude into a house of sorrow any longer. I merely beg you not to be too much bowed down by grief. What seems to us bitter trials are often blessings in disguise.
This blessing seems an extremely obvious kind to me.
Uncle Jack, I am pleased to see you back. But what horrid clothes you've got on. Do go and change this.
Cecily!
My child, my child.
What is the matter, Uncle Jack? Do you look happy? You look as if you had a toothache. And I've got such a surprise for you. Who do you think is in the dining room? Your brother.
Who?
Your brother Ernest. He arrived about half an hour ago.
What nonsense, I haven't got a brother.
Oh, Uncle Jack, do be nice. There's some good in everyone. And you can't be so heartless as to disown him. I will tell him to come out, and you'll shake hands with him. Won't you, Uncle Jack?
These are very joyful tidings.
And And after we had all been resigned to his loss, his sudden return seems to me peculiarly distressing.
My brother is in the dining room, but I don't know what it all means. Well, I think it perfectly absurd. Oh, good heavens!
Brother John, I have come down from town to tell you that I am sorry for all the trouble that I have caused, and that I intend to lead a better life in the future.
Uncle Jack, you're not going to refuse your own brother's hand.
Nothing will induce me to take his hand. I think his coming down here disgraceful, and he knows perfectly well why.
Uncle Jack, do be nice. There's some good in everyone. And Ernest has just been telling me about his poor invalid friend, Mr. Bunbury, whom he goes to visit so often. And it must be much good who is kind to an invalid and leaves the pleasures of London to sit by a bed of pain.
He's been talking to you about Bunbury, has he?
Yes, he's told me all about poor Mr. Bunbury and his terrible state of health.
Bunbury? Well, I will have him talk to you about Bunbury, or about anything else. It's enough to drive one perfectly frantic.
Well, I admit to the fault all being on my side, but I must say that I think Brother John's coldness toward me to be peculiarly painful. I expected a more enthusiastic welcome, especially considering it is the first time I have come here.
Uncle Jack, if you don't shake hands with Ernest, I will never forgive you.
Never forgive me?
Never, never, never!
Well, it is the last time I shall ever do it.
It's pleasant, is it not? A so perfect reconciliation. I think we shall leave the two brothers together.
Cecily, you will come with us.
Certainly, Miss Prism. The little task of reconciliation is quite over.
You've done a wonderful thing today, dear child.
We mustn't be premature in our judgments.
I feel very happy.
You young scoundrel, Algy, you must get out of this place as soon as possible. I don't allow any Bunburying here.
I put Mr. Ernest's things in the room next to your own, sir. I suppose it's all right.
What?
Mr. Ernest's luggage, sir. I have put it in the room next to your own.
His luggage?
Yes, sir. 3 portman cases, a dressing case, 2 hat boxes, and a luncheon basket.
I'm afraid I can't stay for more than a week this time.
Merriman, all of the dog-hearted talks. Mr. Ernest has suddenly been called back to town.
Yes, sir.
What a fearful liar you are, Jack. I have not been called down to town at all.
Oh, yes, you have.
I've not heard anyone call me.
Your duty as a gentleman calls you back.
My duty as a gentleman has never interfered with my pleasures in the smallest degree.
Well, I can quite understand that.
Well, Cecily is a darling.
You are not to talk of Miss Cardew like that. I don't like it.
Well, I don't like your clothes. I think you look perfectly ridiculous in them. Why on earth don't you go up and change? How perfectly childish is it for a man to be in deep mourning for someone who's going to be staying in this house for a whole week as a guest? I call it grotesque.
Your vanity is ridiculous, your conduct is an outrage, and your presence in my garden is utterly absurd. However, you have got to catch the 4:05 train, and I wish you a pleasant journey back to town. This Bunburying, as you call it, has not been a great success for you.
Well, I think it's been a great success. I am in love with Cecily, and that is everything. Oh, but I must see her before I go, and I must make arrangements for another Bunbury. Oh, there she is now.
Oh, and then they came back to watch the roses. I thought you were with Uncle Jack.
He's gone to order the dog cart for me.
Oh, is he going to take you for a nice drive?
He's going to send me away.
Then have you got to part?
I'm afraid so. It's a very painful parting.
It's always painful to part from those one has known for a very brief space of time.
The dog cart. It is at the door.
It can wait, Merriman, for 5 minutes.
Yes, miss.
I hope, Cecily, you shall not be offended if I state quite frankly and openly that you seem to me to be in every way the visible personification of absolute perfection.
I think your frankness does you great credit, Ernest. If you don't mind, I will copy your remarks into my diary.
Do you really keep a diary? Oh, I'd give anything to look at it. May I?
Oh, no. It is very simply a young girl's record of her own thoughts and impressions, and consequently meant for publication. When it appears in volume form, I hope you will order a copy. But pray, Ernest, don't stop. I've reached absolute perfection. Do go on, I'm quite ready for more. Don't cough, Ernest. When one is dictating, one should speak fluently. Never cough. Besides, I don't know how to spell a cough.
Cecily, ever since I first witnessed your wonderful and incomparable beauty, I dared to love you wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly.
I don't think you should tell me that you love me wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly. Hopelessly doesn't seem to make much sense now, does it?
Cecily!
The dog cart is waiting.
Tell him to come round next week. Around the same hour.
Yes, sir.
I don't think Uncle Jack would be pleased to know you were staying on until next week at the same hour.
I don't care about Jack.
I don't care for anyone in the whole world but you. I love you, Cecily. You will marry me, won't you?
You silly boy. Of course. But we have been engaged for the last 3 months.
For the last 3 months?
Yes, it will be exactly 3 months on Thursday.
And how was the engagement settled?
Well, ever since Uncle Jack first confessed to us that he had a younger brother who was very wicked and bad, you, of course, have formed the chief topic of conversation between myself and Miss Prism. And of course, a man who is much talked about is always very attractive. One feels there must be something in him. I dare say it was foolish of me, Ernest, but I fell in love with you.
Darling, and when did we actually decide on the engagement?
On the 14th of February last, worn out by entire ignorance of my existence, I determined to end the matter one way or the other. After a long struggle with myself, I accepted you under this dear old tree here. And the next day, I bought you the ring in your name, and this is the little bangle with the true lover's knot that I promised you always to wear.
Did I give you this? It is very pretty, isn't it?
Yes, you've extremely good taste, Ernest. It's the excuse I've always given for your leading such a bad life. And this is a little box in which I keep all your dear letters.
My letters, Cecily. But I have never written you any letters.
You need hardly remind me of that. I remember only too well that I was forced to write your letters for you. I wrote always, 3 times a week, and sometimes oftener.
Oh, do let me read them.
Oh, I couldn't possibly. They would make you far too conceited. The 3 that you wrote after I had broken off the engagement are so beautiful and so badly spelled that even now I can hardly read them out without crying a little.
But was our engagement ever broken off?
Of course it was. On the 22nd of last March. You can see the entry if you like. The day I broke off my engagement with Ernest, I felt it was better to do so. The weather still continues charming.
But why on earth did you break it off? What had I done, Cecily? I had not done anything. I am very hurt to hear that you broke it off, particularly when the weather was so charming.
It would hardly have been a really serious engagement if I had not broken off at least once. But I forgave you before the week was out.
What a perfect angel you are, Cecily.
You dear romantic boy. I love your hair. I hope it curls naturally, does it?
Yes, with a little help from others.
I'm glad.
You won't break off the engagement again, Cecily.
I don't think that I could now that I've actually met you. Besides, there is the question of your name.
Yes! Of course!
Oh, don't laugh at me, darling. But it has always been a girlish dream of mine to love someone whose name was Ernest. There is something in the name that inspires absolute confidence. I pity me poor married woman whose husband is not called Ernest.
But my dear, you don't mean to say that you couldn't love me if I had some other name?
But what name?
Oh, any name you like. I don't know, Algernon, for instance.
But I don't like the name Algernon.
I really don't see why you should object to the name of Algernon. It is not a bad name at all. In fact, it is a rather aristocratic name.
I might respect you, Ernest. I might admire your character, but I fear I will not be able to give you my undivided attention.
Cecily, your rector here, I suppose, is thoroughly practiced in all the rites and ceremonials of the church.
Oh, Dr. Chasuble is a most learned man. He has never written a single book, so you can imagine how much he knows.
I must see him at once on a most important christening. I mean, for most important business.
Oh.
I shan't be away for more than half an hour.
What an impetuous boy he is. I like his hair so much. I must enter his proposal into my diary.
Miss Fairfax has just called to see Mr. Worthing.
Isn't Mr. Worthing in his library?
Mr. Worthing went in the direction of the rectory some time ago.
Pray, ask the lady to come here. Mr. Worthing is sure to be back soon. And you can bring tea.
Yes, miss.
Miss Fairfax, I suppose one of the many good elderly women who work with Uncle Jack in his philanthropic work in London. I don't quite like women who are interested in philanthropic work. I think it is so bored of them.
Miss Fairfax.
Pray, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Cecily Cardew.
Cecily Cardew? What a very sweet name. Something tells me that we are going to be great friends. I like you already more than I can say. My first impressions of people are never wrong.
How nice of you to like me so much, after we've known each other for such a comparatively short amount of time. Pray, sit down.
I may call you Cecily, may I not?
With pleasure.
And you will always call me Gwendolyn, won't you?
If you wish.
Then that is all quite settled, is it not?
I hope so.
Perhaps this might be a favourable opportunity for my mentioning who I am. My father is Lord Bracknell. You have never heard of Papa, I suppose?
I don't think so.
Outside the family circle, Papa, I'm glad to say, is entirely unknown. I think that is quite as it should be. Cecily, Mamma, whose views on education are remarkably strict, has brought me up to be extremely short-sighted. It was part of her system. So, do you mind my looking at you through my glasses?
Oh, not at all, Gwendolyn. I'm very fond of being looked at.
You are here on a short visit, I suppose?
Oh no, I live here.
Really? Your mother, no doubt, or some female relative of advanced years resides here also?
No, I have no mother, nor in fact any relations.
Indeed.
My guardian, with the assistance of Miss Prism, has the arduous task of looking after me.
Your guardian?
Yes, I'm Mr. Worthing's ward.
Oh, it is strange. He never mentioned to me that he had a ward. How secretive of him. He grows more interesting hourly. I am not sure, however, that the news inspires me with feelings of unmixed delight. I am very fond of you, Cecily. I have liked you ever since I met you. But now that I know that you are Mr. Worthing's ward, I cannot help expressing a wish that you were, well, just a little older than you appear to be, and not quite so very alluring in appearance. In fact, if I may speak candidly,
Pray do. I think that whenever one has anything of importance to say, one should be quite candid.
well, to speak with perfect candor, Cecily, I wish that you were fully 42, and more than usually plain for your age. Ernest has a strong, upright nature. He is the very soul of truth and honor. Disloyalty would be as impossible to him as deception. But even men of the noblest possible moral character are extremely susceptible to the physical charms of others.
I beg your pardon, Gwendolyn, but did you say Ernest?
Yes,
Oh, but it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is my guardian. It is his brother, his elder brother.
Ernest never mentioned to me that he had a brother.
I'm afraid they've not been on good terms in a long time.
Oh, that accounts for it. And now that I think of it, I've never heard any man mention his brother. The subject seems distasteful to most men. Cecily, you have lifted a load from my mind. I was growing almost anxious. It would have been terrible if any cloud had come across a friendship like ours, would it not? Of course, you are quite certain that it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is your guardian.
Quite sure. In fact, I am going to be his.
I beg your pardon.
Dearest Gwendolyn, there is no reason why I should make secret of it to you. A little county newspaper is sure to chronicle the fact next week. Mr. Ernest Worthing and I are engaged to be married.
My darling Cecily, I think there must be some slight error. Mr. Ernest Worthing is engaged to me. The announcement will appear in the Morning Post on Saturday at the latest.
I'm afraid you're under some strange misconception. Ernest proposed to me exactly 10 minutes ago.
It is certainly very curious, for he asked me to be his wife yesterday afternoon at 5:30. If you would care to verify the incident, pray do so. Of course. I'm so sorry, my dear Cecily, if it is any disappointment to you, but I am afraid I have the prior claim.
It would distress me very much if it caused you any mental or physical anguish, Gwendolyn. But I feel bound to point out that since Ernest has proposed to you, he has clearly changed his mind.
If the poor fellow has been entrapped into any foolish promise, I shall consider it my duty to rescue him at once, and with a firm hand.
Whatever unfortunate entanglement my dear boy may have gotten into, I will never reproach him with it after we are married.
Do you allude to me, Miss Cardew, as an entanglement? You are presumptuous. On an occasion of this kind, it becomes more than a moral duty to speak one's mind. It becomes a pleasure.
Do you suggest, Miss Fairfax, that I entrap Ernest into an engagement? How dare you? This is no time to wear the shallow mask of manners. When I see a spade, I call it a spade.
I am glad to say that I've never seen a spade. It is obvious that our social spheres have been widely different.
Shall I lay the tea?
Yes, as usual.
Are there many interesting walks in the vicinity, Miss Cardew?
Yes, a great many. From the top of one of the hills close by, one can see 5 counties.
5 counties? I don't think I should like that. I hate crowds.
I suppose that is why you live in town.
Quite a well-kept garden this is, Miss Cardew.
I'm glad you like it, Miss Fairfax.
I had no idea there were any flowers in the country.
Oh, there are as many flowers here, Miss Fairfax, as people are in London.
Personally, I do not understand how anybody manages to exist in the country. If anybody who is anybody does. The country always bores me to death.
Ah, this is what the newspapers call agricultural depression, is it not? I hear the aristocracy is suffering from it very much at present. It is almost an epidemic, I've been told. May I offer you some tea, Miss Fairfax?
Thank you. Detestable girl, but I require tea.
Sugar?
No, thank you. Sugar is not fashionable anymore.
Cake or bread and butter?
Bread and butter. Cake is rarely seen in the best houses nowadays.
And this to Miss Fairfax.
You have filled my tea with lumps of sugar, and though I asked most distinctly for bread and butter, you have given me cake. I am known for the gentleness of my disposition and the extraordinary sweetness of my nature. But I warn you, Miss Cardew, you may go too far.
To save my poor, innocent, trusting boy from the machinations of any girl, there are no links that I will not go.
From the moment I saw you, I felt that you were false and deceitful. I am never deceived in such matters. My first impressions of people are invariably right.
It seems to me, Miss Fairfax, that I'm trespassing on your valuable time. No doubt you have many other calls of a similar character to make in the neighborhood.
Ernest.
Dear Gwendolyn.
Oh, Ernest. A moment. May I ask, are you engaged to be married to this young lady?
To dear little Cecily? Of course not. What could have put such an idea into your pretty little head?
Thank you. You may.
I knew, Miss Fairfax, that there must be some misunderstanding. The gentleman whose arm is at present round your waist is my guardian, Mr. John Worthing.
I beg your pardon.
This is Uncle Jack.
Jack? Oh.
Here is Ernest. A moment, Ernest. May I ask, are you engaged to this young lady?
To what young lady? Gwendolyn! Good heavens!
Yes, to good heavens, Gwendolyn. I mean to Gwendolyn.
Of course not. What could have put such an idea in your pretty little head?
You may.
I felt there must be some slight error, Miss Cardew. The gentleman who is now embracing you is my cousin, Mr. Algernon Moncrief.
Algernon Moncrief? Oh! Are you called Algernon?
I cannot deny it.
Oh! Is your name really John?
I could deny it if I liked. I could deny anything if I liked. But my name certainly is John. It has been John for years.
A gross deception has been practiced on the both of us.
My poor, wounded Cecily.
My sweet, wronged Gwendolyn.
You will call me sister, will you not?
I have just one question that I'd like to be allowed to ask my guardian.
An admirable idea. There is just one question I would like to be permitted to put to you, Mr. Worthing. Where is your brother Ernest? We are both engaged to be married to your brother Ernest, so it is a matter of some importance to us to know where your brother Ernest is at present.
Gwendolyn, Cecily, it is a very painful thing for me to be forced to speak the truth, It is the first time in my life that I have ever been reduced to such a painful position, and I'm really quite inexperienced in doing anything of the kind. However, I will tell you quite frankly that I have no brother, Ernest. I have no brother at all. I never had a brother in all my life, and I have not the smallest intention of ever having one in the future.
No brother at all?
None.
Had you never a brother of any kind?
Never, not even of any kind.
It appears that neither of us is engaged to be married to anyone.
This is a very pleasant position for a young girl to find herself in.
Let us go into the house. They will hardly venture to come after us then.
No, men are so cowardly, aren't they?
Well, this ghastly state of things is what you call bun-burying, I suppose?
Yes, and the most wonderful bunbury it is too. The most wonderful bunbury I have ever had in my life.
For you have no right whatsoever to go bun-burying here.
That is absurd. One may bunbury wherever one chooses. Every serious bunburist knows that.
Serious bun-buryist? Good heavens! How you can calmly sit here eating muffins when we are in this horrible trouble, I can't make out. You seem to me to be perfectly harmless.
I can hardly eat muffins in an agitated manner. I might get to a butter on my gums. No, one must always eat muffins calmly. It is the only way to eat them.
Well, I'd say it's perfectly harmless you're eating muffins at all, under the circumstances.
Well, I'm in great trouble. Those who know me intimately would tell you that eating is the only thing that consoles me. At the present moment, I am eating because I am happy. Besides, I am particularly fond of muffins.
Well, that is no reason why you should eat them all in that greedy way.
I wish you could have tea cake instead. I don't like tea cake.
Oh, good heavens! I suppose a man may eat his own muffins in his own garden.
What ideas do you have of hospitality? Serving tea cakes at your own, party. What ideas do you have of hospitality?
Algernon, I don't want you here. I've already told you to go. Why don't you just go?
I've not quite finished my tea yet. Besides, I am particularly fond of muffins.